I'm Ian Robinette.
I'm Mayor Allison Carey.
The game is 2MD, 2-minute drill. When we had first played with VR, it was one of our first ideas that we felt really worked with the VR space and the control scheme. We felt it was perfect. You have a natural kind of boundary that the VR sort of restricts you to. That sort of works like the pocket of like a football game. You have these motion controls which can track the motion of a throw, say, and yeah, it seemed like the natural fit.
Well, it was gameplay first, and the very first prototype for it was a lot of just primitives, running up and down a kind of a
capsule.
Capsules with an ellipse running down a square field. And then from there, we were trying to decide, what's the best way to set this up, and doing things and keeping in mind the platforms we wanted to target, because initially we were working on PC, but we knew we wanted to put it on PlayStation. Doing things like skeletal animation for the characters and such would kind of prove to be probably a little bit too daunting for the platform. And we really wanted to capture that sense of presence, like being in a stadium specifically filled with thousands of screaming fans that are animated. And that, in our eyes, that was more important than trying to have better fidelity on the players. So we decided to make the players tackle dummies. For those of us that have played football, we're immediately familiar with them. And it also lets us inject a little bit of comedy into the game, because we don't have an NFL license or what have you. So it helped us to maintain the scope of what the game was and what it was not. And what the game is an arcade game, a fun pick up and play experience. And that ultimately spoke to, in moving forward with the design, how we design the characters, how we design the humor in the game. At the same time, while it is an arcade game and while it does have, it's very colorful and very lighthearted, beneath the surface, the mechanics are, for a lot of people, surprisingly deep. As far as not just the throw mechanics in the game, which translate one-to-one natural motion into throws, but also the ability to draw your own plays in VR. Nobody has, imitated yet. And the routes that you draw in the locker room are stored in your playbook. You have a playbook that can hold up to 8 unique plays, and you can flip every single one of those plays, which gives you about 16 possible formations to choose from. You take that onto the field. And the other first in the genre for VR is we actually have you going against an AI that starts out, relatively easy from the beginning, but becomes punishingly difficult toward the very end, so that the struggle is ultimately rewarding. I would say GDEX is it's our first opportunity to kind of put our passion to the forefront, relatively close to where we live. We've been to E3 and GDC many times in the last decade. We've always wanted the opportunity to actually exhibit at one of these conventions, and to be able to do so with the kind of setup that we would like. So it represents a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of developments in the VR space in terms of wire-free technology, better fidelity in headsets, and AR itself I think is intimately linked to VR. But there's definitely a future. It's pretty niche right now because of, there are some barriers to entry for people. Usually it's the price, but that's coming down pretty rapidly, and you're still getting a lot of capability for what is being developed.
I'd like to see a lot more VR games that actually let you explore a bigger area. I feel like a lot of VR games now are a pretty limited play space, and I think that's somewhat the limitation of VR.
Well, I'll say this. The problem is just opportunity in disguise. I don't know who said that.
Someone did.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't me.
No, you just said it just now.
You'll be able to find most of our content on PSN. We're primarily a PlayStation developer. What else? We are looking at other platforms, but nothing to announce at this time.
This game is really, 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 really fun. Playing VR football is pretty amazing. Try it out. It's pretty fun.